these things made me who I am. So as a gymnast, it was this discipline and coachability. I was made me quick to make changes when you're constantly being coached and told what's wrong. So you have to change. And so gymnastics taught me that discipline and coachability. And similarly, when I got into news, the discipline was there too. I mean, 3 shows a day, you had to be on and ready. And then this constant feedback. You get ratings. They tell you if you're any good or not. And you have to be quick to make a change. Morning meditation. And it's not a regular, like big, long meditation, but every morning before I don't pick up my phone when I get up in the morning. And I take a moment to check in, and I do what I call my 4 Bs. And I'll sit on my patio and I listen to the birds, and then I listen to my breath, and then I check in on my body, and then I check in on my brain. What am I thinking about?
Folks, you have tuned into TGV, and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So folks, we are joined by Nina Sossamon-Pogue. She's an Emmy-winning news anchor, former USA gymnast, and corporate leader turned best-selling author. And she's known for her resilience framework. She equips organizations with the mindset, tools, and motivation to take on new challenges or tough times and tackle stress and anxiety so they can thrive amidst change. And her dynamic and unique approach to resilience has made her a sought-after speaker across industries. And as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, resilience redefined, cultivating strengths amidst change, here's an exciting twist as always. Let us tickle our guest's brain. So, Nina, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready.
I'm ready, Navin.
All right. Here comes my first word. Curiosity.
Stay curious.
Invention.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Find a way forward, always.
Future.
Life is long. In the book of your life, all the pages ahead are blank.
Book.
Lifetime learning. Always keep learning. Never stop reading.
Resilience.
Adapt. That's my sweet spot. Never give up. There's always a way forward.
Legacy.
People remember how you make them feel.
Failure.
An opportunity to learn. Fail fast. Keep moving.
Courage.
Be brave enough to try hard things.
Challenge.
Bring it. Keep leveling up. The world would be boring without challenges.
Success.
Success. It is different for each of us. Know what you want.
Universe.
Way too big for me to think about right now.
Okay, here comes the last word. Leadership.
Be brave. Lift others. A high tide raises all ships.
Wonderful. I loved all your responses. Spot on and quite intriguing as well. Thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. And you heard it right. This is the first rapid fire round. There is one more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And Nina, hearty welcome to The Guiding Voice. We have recently won the Asia's Best Podcast Award in Education category for the year 2024. And I'm glad to share that you are the second guest after winning that podcast award for the year 2024.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here, Naveen, and I love your speed round. I love the whole format of this. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for being part of our journey. And let's get the ball rolling, and we'll start with your guiding voice. Who is your guiding voice?
Oh, it is not one person. It is a mix of people through my life who I hear when things go wrong. It's Marcus Aurelius. I'm big into Stoicism. Sometimes it's Oprah and that voice in my head. And other times it's many of the coaches that I've had in my life. I was young in my lifetime, my first chapter of my life, and often the voices in my head are voices of coaches I've had in the past.
Spot on. And thanks for sharing about that. And let's get to your success mantra. So please talk to us about top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
Goodness. Well, I've had a very varied life, as you mentioned. So I was a gymnast, and then I was a news anchor, and then I was in tech for many years. So this same handful of things carried me through all of those. And those would be my ability to fall down and get back up, both from being a gymnast, falling down, getting back back up. On TV, when things went wrong, it was live. You had to keep going. So one would be my ability to fall down, get back up. Two, not needing to be the smartest person in the room. I think that's very important. Always learning, not needing to be the smartest person in the room. Probably the second thing. And then the third, which I am a huge fan of, is lifting up others. I think when I look at things that have contributed to my success, my ability to lift the people around me, to mentor them, and to help them so they can be their best, that has always led to my own success.
So leaders lifting leaders, and that will cultivate the culture and will be remembered forever for the impact that we create, right? So I resonate very well with that. Move forward. So from elite gymnastics to corporate leadership, again, you have navigated many demanding environments, and gymnast is not easy. Being a gymnast is not easy, and then news anchor is not easy. You will be always on your toes, and being in the corporate is also not easy. So how did these diverse experiences shape your views on resilience?
I didn't even know the word resilience was what I would end up talking about and leaning into, but I do realize now that all three of those things very much made me who I am. Like in your life experience made you who you are. Yeah. These things made me who I am. So as a gymnast, it was this discipline and coachability. I was made me quick to make changes. When you're constantly being coached and told what's wrong, so you have to change. And so gymnastics taught me that discipline and coachability. And similarly, when I got into news, the discipline was there too. I mean, 3 shows a day, you had to be on and ready. And then this constant feedback. You get ratings. They tell you if you're any good or not. And you have to be quick to make a change when things go wrong. So again, discipline and quick to make a change. That quick to make a change became part, and that's what resilience is. Your ability to adapt, that's making a change. And then in corporate leadership, I had to learn fast. So I went from TV to tech and to a big SaaS company, software as a service, big platform, in a hyper growth phase of the company. So I had to be very quick to make changes there, not just hung up on the titles that I had. And I never was hung up on the titles. It was just doing what needed to be done. And again, that's my ability to adapt and change. So all of those, my ability to adapt and change, that is resilience. And I didn't realize that was resilience until I came across, my research in resilience and found that piece of the definition.
I love it. I think adaptability is more important now than ever, right? In this quick changing world, and you are a perfect example for that. And also, Nina, you mentioned that resilience is a skill, right? So can you break down your resilience framework and how it applies to today's high stress corporate world? Because there is fierce competition here in the corporate world.
There is throughout the globe. So we have, technology advancing at an all-time rate, and we have global connectivity and global competition. It's so different than it has been in the past. We're in a new world. And, a lot of people, while we're talking resilience, persistence and grit are also things that people talk about. And persistence is like, let's go hard, double down, let's make this happen. And then grit is sticking to it when things get super hard and keep forcing it forward. But resilience is different. It is this ability to adapt in a positive way to whatever happens in your life. So let me give you an example before I answer your question completely. Remember January 2020, when you woke up on that morning, January 1st, 2020, you probably had goals you were going to go after, dreams, like this was the year you were going to make certain money or fix a relationship or lose weight or whatever, or get the job or the promotion. Well, the world changed around us. And we couldn't do things. We couldn't just double down and go hard. Persistence was not going to get you through that year. Grit was not going to get you through that year. You had to adapt and figure our way forward because the world around us changed. That's what resilience is. So my framework and how I work with high achievers deals with that. How do you adapt when things don't go as planned? Call it this, whatever your this is, that is you are going through. Your challenges are very different from mine. Your listeners have their own challenges. So whatever this is that you're going through is your this. These big thises, how do we get around and adapt them? And I say we have to pull them down into a timeline, isolate them, pull in the right people, and craft a story. That's the framework that I use. And it's a lot to unpack. I will say in the beginning of your question, when you talked about high achievers, one of the most important things is your listeners and you're all high achievers. If you didn't want it fine with just how your life was, like you didn't want anything more, you didn't want to learn more, do more, you just were okay with exactly how life is, then you wouldn't set new goals or put a new target out there that you were reaching for. So we set a goal and then we go around this circle. We learn about it. We figure out what works. We get to work and work hard. We have that persistence and that grit and we make it. We go all the way around the circle until we achieve that goal because we want it, whether it's a vacation you want to take or a house you want to buy or something or a job. You achieve it. And then when you achieve that goal, what do?
We go for the next goal. next
Yes, you set a new goal and you go around again. So that's what I mean by the high achiever cycle. So we are creating, no matter how much you get and do and want, we create our own stress. And that, on top of technology advances and on top of global connectivity, is just this constant level of stress in our beings and our bodies that we're all dealing with. It's very new. It's a very new world out there.
So what next is another flywheel, right? In terms of achieving the goals, and also once you reach there. For example, when I started my podcasting journey, I never thought I would surpass 100 episodes. And after that, it became 200. And now we have crossed 500. And recently we were the finalists in India level podcast competition. And I was a little disappointed. I thought, no, I have to win something big. Let me apply for Asia level. And now we are the winners. And after this, what next? Something at a global level.
Right. Exactly. That's what you'll do. No matter how great you get, how big this gets, you're going to want more. That's that high achiever piece. We want to see how far we can go, how much we can do. Yeah, I love it.
Got it. That's very clear. And you know, you have had remarkable career success, but you have also been open about your struggles and failures, right? So I would like to understand, how has this vulnerability played a role in your growth as a leader?
You know, vulnerability is one of those things that we each have our own relationship with. And I don't think until I wrote my first book that I was really in touch with what this meant. When I sat down to write my first book, it's called This Is Not the End, Strategies to Get You Through the Worst Chapters of Your Life. And with a title like that, I had to actually write about the worst chapters of my life. So the vulnerability came out pretty quickly. And I had to look at myself and my life in a new way. And I wasn't really ready to be like front and center with all my challenges until I did that. But, you know, I liked being Nina, the elite athlete, the Emmy winner, the person who ran the IPO and had success and had some wealth and had 3 smart kids. I wanted to be that Nina. But the vulnerability part comes in because I actually was also the girl who, you know, didn't make the Olympic team. So I bombed that season and did not make the team. Then I blew out my knee in college and didn't have a big college career that I wanted. Once when I was in television, I got fired. They went younger and blonder and found somebody else. I'd been divorced. That was perfect, not part of the plan. And I've struggled and I've had dark times and went through really challenging times where I didn't know if I could even go on. Like, I didn't want to be that Nina. So I think the vulnerability is our ability to tap into the pieces of us that we're maybe not proud of. But I look at it like this. It's really cool. And you've got this too. And all your listeners do too. You can draw a line across a piece of paper from, like, turn your paper sideways and draw a line across it and go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Put your whole life up to 100. 10 little dots across that line. And that's your lifetime timeline. And you can put all of your achievements on the top, like over the years when you won them. That's your education, your marriage, awards you've won, maybe some spelling bee you won in the 5th grade, whatever. Everything you did on the top. And then you go down below the line. That's your resume, okay? Then you go down below the line and you can put in all your challenges, things that you've overcome, things that have happened in your life or in your community, things that you overcome. And that goes below the line. And that's what I call your reverse resume. And so you can put, and then today, you and I mean, we can put a dot on that line. I'm further along on my timeline than you are. I'm in my 50s. So I can put my dot on my line there. But I can see, like you can, if you make your own resume on this, that all the chapters ahead are blank. Like all the space, if it was the book of my life, all the chapters are blank, but all of the blank space ahead on my timeline is there for me to put whatever is going to go there. So the vulnerability piece, those pieces, that reverse resume down at the bottom on your page, that's what really makes you who you are. That's what vulnerability is. Looking at the tough times that you've been through and going, oh, that made me who I am. Not the Emmy Award that I won or the IPO and all the money. None of that made me who I am. The other stuff made me who I am. Yeah, so that's that vulnerability piece.
Right. I completely resonate with you, and I would like to share one of my experience as well. Right. So for every 25th episode at TGV, we try to call a prominent speaker. Okay, somebody who is well known or somebody who has achieved some remarkable success and all. And recently, in June 2024, we have hit the 500th episode. And first thing what I did is I thought of reaching out to the top 10 motivational speakers in India. Right. And I got a handful of them, and then I tried reaching out to them, and they were looking at, hey, do you have 1 million subscribers, or are you ready to shell out, say, about 5,000 USD, or what is your budget, right?
Wow.
So likewise, I was literally surprised, and I was under high stress because typically, like, I try to bring in somebody really big and famous, and 500th is the biggest milestone, right? Not many interview-based podcasts get there, and I was under pressure, and finally, I was able to rope in a senior leader from my GE days, and who was a CHRO, and his name is Raghu Raghu Krishnamurti, and he has done fantastic job, and he has done it justice, right? And now in the hindsight, right, I feel like, okay, that made me learn certain things, right, which I was not, maybe probably I would have not learned in case if somebody has readily agreed. Now, I have become more resilient.
Yes, everything you learn, you become more resilient. And had you not gone through that, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Yeah, and we all have better stories as well, right? If everything is a straight path, what will you dare to change? It's boring.
Right. You can. Sometimes I say, look at your life like when you draw that line. Look at it like an echocardiogram, like a heartbeat, like up and down over the line. You don't want to be flatline. That would be boring. That'd be bad.
And also now let's talk about the storytelling part, right? So what role does storytelling play in your talk, and why do you believe it is so effective in driving behavioral change in organizations?
You and I just told a story that people listening will probably remember your story more than any of the other things we talked about. People connect with stories. The best way to influence someone or teach someone or even to inspire someone is to tell a story, because stories are, the research is there. It's remembered more accurately and remembered much longer than any data you and I can share. So you can tell a good story and it gets you there. So one of the stories I tell, give you an example of why storytelling is so good. When I'm trying to explain to someone the neuroscience of like how your brain and neuroplasticity and changes, and I give them some data and stuff about it's not going to feel like it does 5 years from now, and let me explain how it changes in your brain. And then I'll say, one day my son, I have 2 boys and a girl. One day my son, when he was in college and university, he came home and he brought a buddy of his, and his buddy had gotten really drunk at a party, and he had fallen down the stairs and he smashed up his face and he knocked out a tooth, and he had this sweet kid came and sat at my kitchen table. It was like he looked horrible, and he said, "Can I talk to you, Miss Nina?" And I said, "Sure." We went and sat on the end of the dock at my house. What happened? And he told me the story, and he said, "And I ruined my whole life. I'm failing class because I'm embarrassed to go back to class. I haven't told my parents because they're going to kill me, and I've ruined my whole life. Such a mess." And I said, "Okay, didn't you want to get a dog one day when you grew up?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "Well, didn't you say someday you wanted to get a dog when you were grown up, when you're out of college?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." And I said, "Well, what kind of a dog would you get?" And he said, "I think I'd get a lab." And I said, "Well, a lab would be cool. What would you name it?" And he said, "I don't know, like a people name, like Eric." And I said, "Okay, Eric, cool. Well, 5 years from now, when you and Eric are walking down the beach, this isn't going to feel like this. This is going to be a story you tell. This is going to be something that's in your memory. And you're like, it's you and Eric are going to walk down the beach, and this is going to be something where you're like, wow, let me tell you about when I really screwed up in college." And that is the power of storytelling. Tell it. You could see his whole body change. I could have sat there and explained it to him, but you could see his whole body change with, oh yeah, like 5 years from now, it is going to be a story I tell. Like it's his way around it. So, and I worked with him through my framework and said, let's figure out how we're going to talk to people, who we need to talk to, how we move forward, what's the option. Anyway, yes, that's the power of storytelling.
They'll be remembered, right? So,
yes.
Even in my talks also, I try to weave in stories, and that will be realistic. In fact, people can relate to it, right? Yeah.
Right.
Great. All right. So let's move to the next one. And Nina, what is the biggest mindset shift individuals need to make to turn adversity into opportunity?
There are many. I think the biggest one is this concept that I share around all the blank space ahead. Sometimes when adversity hits us, if you're in the middle of it right now listening, Naveen, if you're in the middle of it, you're getting ready to go into a celebration, I think. But if you're in the middle of an adversity and something's happening in your life, it takes up all the space in our head. We wake up thinking about it. We go to sleep thinking about it. So this mindset shift around, hey, this is just a bad chapter I'm in, a bad moment in my life. It is not my whole life. All that blank space ahead. It's okay to not be okay, is what I often say. It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way. You can have a bad moment, bad chapters in your life, but you have to find a way forward. So I think that's the biggest mindset, to get you around your head of, holy, this is horrible, whatever I'm going through. Or if you get fired or something, like, this is awful, but this is not my whole life. It could be a bad few months, maybe even a bad few years, but it is not your whole life. Life is long.
Wonderful. It is okay not to be okay, right? So this will be remembered. And
yes,
this has been amazing conversation so far. And it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode.
This is frightening. You're getting to something.
Hello, I'm Steve Ahern, one of the judges of the Asia Podcast Awards. I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that you're listening to an award-winning podcast. This podcast won its category in the 2024 Podcast Awards, so you know you're listening to quality. Enjoy your listening experience, and congratulations to the team who created this award-winning podcast for you.
Let's get into the second rapid fire round. So here comes the first bullet out of second rapid fire round. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Oh, this is an easy one because I just did this in Times Square in New York, and it said, "You've got this. Your next chapter might be your best chapter."
Nina, can you describe yourself in just one word?
Supportive.
And what is your go-to method for staying energized throughout the day?
Coffee is part of it, but move your body and throw in some caffeine.
Okay, and then what is one habit that has had the biggest impact on your life?
Oh, a few years ago, I started morning meditation, and it's not a regular, like, big, long meditation, but every morning before I don't pick up my phone when I get up in the morning, and I take a moment to check in, and I do what I call my 4 Bs, and I'll sit on my patio, and I listen to the birds, and then I listen to my breath, and then I check in on my body, and then I check in on my brain. What am I thinking about? So I do this birds, breath, body, brain thing. But it has really helped me just be present in my life and not jump into my phone, what everybody else is doing, or even let somebody else take my day from me, because so quickly other people's needs. I mean, I have 3 kids and a husband and lots of people who count on me. They can all take my day really quickly, but I take that time for myself in the morning. It has really changed things. Okay, that was a long answer. Sorry.
No worries. And here comes the next one. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I want to say I'm a morning person, but I'm not. I'm more of a night owl. I did evening news for 20 years. So even when I try to be a morning person, I'm not.
What is the book you recommend everyone should read?
The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday's book. I made all of 3 of my children read that one. It's really good. And if I can throw in another, there's one, The Checklist Manifesto. If you're in business, I love that book. It just helps me calm my brain to have a checklist.
Okay, and here comes the last one. What is one electronic gadget that you like to see or invent yourself?
I want a GPS for my life. I want an internal, that's what I've been trying to design. A GPS that when life goes wrong, that says you are here, and like that it knows where I am and it knows where I'm going. And it just goes recalculating route and says, here's the best way forward. You don't even have to think about it.
I love it. All right, so let's flip back to the mainstream. And Nina, in the world of startups and corporate environment, what's one overlooked element of success that you believe deserves more attention?
And this is for anyone who's hiring or who is looking for their tribe, their team. You should never go it alone. That's the most important thing. I think most people know that. But I think hiring an athlete or someone who has been part of a team sport or been an athlete is really, would just superpower your processes and move your whole company forward because they're coachable. Like nowadays, some kids are not so coachable. You can tell them what's wrong and they don't crumble. You can explain to them what needs to change and they will change without pushing back. They just are coachable. And so I think one of the things that you can do to have big success and that's in a corporate environment is to not always hire the smartest person, but hire the most coachable person. Hire the person who wants to learn. There's a difference between knowing it and wanting to learn it. I think that is an overlooked strength. So coachable is one way to put it, but instead of looking for the smartest person at a role, find a person who is smart and really wants to be great at this role and pull them in, because that's it's nuanced, but I think that finding people who want to learn and be great at something may be better than the people who just think they're already great at it.
I love the perspective. So folks, hire somebody who is coachable, and if you can hire an athlete, that will become a superpower. All right. So I loved all the responses and I loved hosting you. And thank you so much for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And Nina, how was your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice podcast?
This was so fun. It moves so fast. I love your format. I love your energy. So thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure to have you and looking forward to hosting you again in future, Nina.
I would be happy to come back.
Wonderful. So friends, that was our episode with Nina Sossamon-Pogue. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, please subscribe. And also if you have enjoyed the episode and found the conversation useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the Guiding Voice, Asia's best podcast in education. And so spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now it's time for us to hop into the trivia segment. Having hosted Emmy-award-winning news anchor today, I thought I would present you 3 lesser-known facts about the Emmy Awards. The first one is the Emmy statue represents a TV arts muse. The iconic Emmy statuette is designed to symbolize both art and science, and the figure of a winged woman holding an atom represents the muse of art, while the atom symbolizes the electron of science, and it was chosen from 48 designs and stands for the creative and technical sides of television production. And second, there are regional Emmy Awards, which means in addition to the national prime time and daytime Emmys, there are regional Emmy Awards that recognize excellence in local and regional television programming, and these awards are presented by chapters of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and whose short form is NATAS, across the United States. And third, the name Emmy comes from camera tubes. The name Emmy is derived from Emmy, I-M-M-Y, a nickname for the image orthicon camera tube, a crucial technology in early television cameras. And the name was feminized to Emmy to match the statue's female figure. So likewise, if you know any interesting facts about Emmy Awards, do let me know. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there. Or if you're listening to this episode if you have found this on social media platform, you can comment there as well. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. And see you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.